I love the Genesis. It's not really a big secret. But the Super Nintendo is more powerful. And I love the Super Nintendo as well. But what if I were to tell you that there is a thing that can make your Genesis more powerful than the Super Nintendo? Well, I present to you the Sega 32X. This thing was released in 1994 for the Sega Genesis, and, well, it's kind of a funny shape. It kind of looks like Hiroshima. Well, and if you don't know what Hiroshima looks like, it was even called by the developers the Sega Mushroom. I mean, it's a stupid looking thing. But pretty much, Sega of America was like, hey, yo, the Sega Genesis is doing good. Why would we release a next-gen console when we can just release an add-on? And Sega Japan was like, oh no, the Mega Drive isn't doing very well. So no, we're going to release a Saturn. Fuck you. And Nintendo America was like, oh, well, we don't know you're releasing a Saturn because you definitely didn't tell us. So we're going to release this piece of shit. We rushed this fucking thing out the door. So now, this thing was in concept in early 1994, and it was released in November of 1994. Fun fact, it was actually released here in North America on the exact same day the Saturn came out in Japan. So useless this fucking thing is. Well, I fucking hope so, because nothing else is going to. Oh, only, if I remember correctly, only 800,000 of these things were sold, which is only a little bit more than the Virtual Boy. When you're being compared to the Virtual Boy, that's typically not a good thing. Let's play it and find out. Okay, here's a guide on how to put these fuckers in. So you got a bigger one, and you got a smaller one. Throw away the smaller one for now, and because the big one goes in the back. And you just kind of shimmy it in there. It's kind of not really an easy explanation on how to do this. It just kind of goes in there. Like that, okay? And then you got the small one. Get the small one. I hope you didn't throw it in the trash. And then it just slides in the front, like that. So now you're going to want to grab your 32X, and you just slide it in like a normal cartridge. If you have a Model 1 Genesis, it'll go in perfectly fine. But if you have a Model 2 Genesis, just like this, you're going to want this plastic extender that just goes on the bottom of the 32X, kind of like that. And then it snaps on. You can use it without that extender, but it's kind of wobbly. Now you got the hard part. So you get your Genesis with the 32X, flip it around, and you have this double-sided cord. So you're going to want to just plug it into the Genesis like you usually would. And then you want to get the other end and put it in the AV in, right in the middle. Like that. And now you're good to go up to the TV. Okay, then you want to plug your TV AV cable into the AV out on the back of the 32X. Like that. And then you're going to need 2 AC adapters. You need one for the Genesis, which makes sense. And then you need one for the 32X. Why the fuck? What a stupid fucking design. Yeah, 15 brain cells later and we can play 32-bit games. This is a complete Sega 32X game. It's pretty cool. So here's the problem. It comes in a cardboard box, which is kind of a pain in the ass. Especially since the Sega Genesis games came in plastic cases. But here's the funny thing. The Genesis games didn't really need to come in a plastic case because they have perfectly fine end labels. Well, here's the thing. Sega 32X games, they came in cardboard boxes, so you would think, oh, the end labels would be bigger. No, there's no end labels at all! How the fuck does that make sense? This is some banger music, but let's play Virtua Racing Deluxe. Well, it's your standard racing game. Well, it's pretty standard now, but back then, this was pretty crazy. A 3D racing game? That was pretty crazy. Play another game. Oh yeah, Doom. Play a good port of Doom, I would just play it on the PlayStation. Like I said, it's impressive for the Genesis, because the 32X really is making the Genesis a lot more powerful. But it was rushed. This goes to show how much the 32X was rushed out of production, and developers weren't given any time to finish their games. This is a really good example, because Doom is a good game, and it's still a good game, but it's missing levels. The song sucks. The graphics could be better. So what are my overall thoughts on the 32X? It came out too late. If this would have came out in, say, 1992, this would have blown Sega out of the park, and I would go as far as to say this would have killed Nintendo. And the Saturn was just over the horizon. So why would you buy one of these when you can just wait a couple months and buy a Sega Saturn? This was $160 at launch. So, your average consumer, I'm going to buy this Sega 32X for $160, and then it's going to be obsolete in less than a year. So now Sega expects me to go spend $400 on a Sega Saturn. Why would I believe in the Sega Saturn if they discontinued this after less than a year? This right here is the thing that killed Sega. For as much shit this has gotten in the past, and how much shit I literally just gave it, it's pretty cool. The Angry Video Game Nerd said it best. It looks like it's putting the Genesis on life support, which is exactly what it's doing. It's trying to make the Genesis live longer. It makes complete sense. All this was designed to do is keep the Genesis alive until the Saturn came out.